And, I like pride myself in, the fact that I go into my prayer closet every morning and spend time with God. And I think that's the problem, because it got to the point where, am I doing this out of like habit, or am I really doing this to continue on developing and pouring into and trying to glean everything I can from God and spending time with Him to get closer with Him? And it's like, I think it had gotten to the point where those lines were blurred. Hi, welcome to Sunday Showers from the Source. My name is Patrice Hunt, and thank you for joining me this Sunday. I've been gone for like 2 Sundays now. That was not my plan. But you do know that I'm always like very um, sensitive to God's leading. So if He gives me something to talk about, I talk about it. If He doesn't give me anything to talk about, I won't post anything. I'm not like in a rush. I'm not trying to get 50 million followers or anything like that. I'm just trying to be obedient. And so with that being the case, I often, He'll give me things to say. And so if He doesn't give me things to say, then I won't post. And so that's kind of what happened with the first Sunday. He kind of gave me something that He had been working on me about, but He had just started working on me with it. And I don't think that He was ready for me to share it. So He didn't give me anything to talk about. So I didn't post. Then last Sunday, it was like, I was looking for my phone all week. I record on my work phone. And so I was looking for my work phone, could not find it. Like when I tell you it was the most elusive thing in the world, I could not find it. I finally found it like at the last minute. And then I couldn't find the charger for my laptop. So I was like, now it's either the devil working overtime or God is like, because God, no, it was the devil working overtime, because God gave me kind of what He wanted me to talk about. But I also know that God has a plan. And so I think that maybe, and like last week was like the first week of school for my kids. It was a busy week. A lot was going on. And so I think He was just like, no, I'm going to allow it to keep, I know my plan. And whenever you get it out, it's going to work with my plan. And so I just have to trust Him with that. But this Sunday is kind of different because I don't have, my Bible is always closed. It's right here, but it's not open and in front of me. I don't have notes, that I've taken and scriptures that I've poured over or anything like that. It's just really a heart to share what has been going on with me, or something that God has been working on with me. I think what it is, it was just been like difficult. Life has been difficult. I've talked about it probably since the beginning of this podcast started, because that's how long life has been difficult. We've really been going through a tough time and struggling. And so with that being the case, I had kind of gotten to the point where I was just feeling like blah. Like I can't even explain what it was or anything like that. It just seemed like something wasn't right. And so I was just really trying to figure it out, and I couldn't figure it out. It was like, what's going on? What's going on? I've been feeling that way for like probably like a couple of months. Like going through the summer, kind of leading up to summer, going through the summer, all of that, I was kind of just like feeling this way. And so it was just like something was wrong, something was missing. And I was kind of getting, I would find myself being kind of short, being kind of dry, and I couldn't figure out why. And I really didn't feel right. And so of course, God was talking to me, because He was like, oh, this can't go on any longer. I'm sure my family is very grateful for that. But He kind of just like was speaking into me, and like through what I was reading, through scriptures, and through journal entries that I had posted before, through prayer requests that I had been getting, just like all kind of things. And I think that He was speaking to me in this way, just to remind me of the importance of having a nearness with Him and really having a true relationship with Him. And I think that sometimes when we, do podcast, or if you're a minister and you preach, or if you are a Bible study teacher and you teach the word, sometimes you can get into, well, I'm not going to say you, with me doing this podcast, I think that I kind of took for granted the time that I spend like researching and reading and studying and praying over what God has for me to give to you, that I'm not open to what he has for me. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. It makes sense to me. But so it's kind of got to the point where I was just going through the motions. And I think the biggest thing was, I would go into my prayer closet every morning, like I always do. I go into my prayer closet and I sit on the floor and I open my Bible and I open my devotionals and I read and do all these things and I pray to God and I lay my requests before him. I pray for other people. I do all the things that I'm supposed to do, and in doing all of those things, I feel accomplished. I feel like, okay, that's good. Check, done, that kind of thing. And then when I come out of the closet, life starts lifing. I have to take kids here, fix breakfast, do this, do that, like with all of these things that are on my plate. And I was really overwhelmed and I couldn't figure out why, like what was different, what was happening that could give me peace in the midst of this storm that we have been travailing through for like we're like 4 months shy of 2 years. So like what am I doing differently that than what I was doing before when going through this? And I'm like, I'm still going to the prayer closet. I'm still seeking you. I'm still reading your word, all this and that and the other. I've written that second book. I've been trying to be obedient, but I think that it took me a minute to realize, and I think because I was doing all that, it took me a minute to realize that I go in the closet every morning and pray to God, but I never bring him out of the closet. It's like I go in there and I read the word and I study the word and then I leave him there and then I go about my day. And then I sit at my desk when it's time to get ready to do the podcast and I study and I look at scriptures and I read the word and then I get up and I leave him there. And so I wasn't in an actual relationship with him. I was treating him more like he was location dependent. So if I was at my desk, then okay, I can be involved in studying the word and looking for God and things like that. And if I was in the prayer closet, I could be involved in studying the word and praying to him and things like that. Or if I'm at church, I would be involved in standing up in front of people and praying and interceding on their behalf for them. But every day while I'm standing up, washing dishes, while I'm fixing lunches, while I'm doing the laundry, while I'm going out on walks with the kids or riding the bike or doing errands, whatever the case may be that I'm doing at that point in time, I wasn't bringing him with me. I was kind of compartmentalizing God. And I think I've talked about that on the podcast before about the downfalls of that and things like that. And so I think that when I got to the point where enough was enough and he really revealed that to me, and the way he did it honestly was like this song, Lemonade, came out by Forrest Frank. And Forrest Frank broke his back, and I'll link it. The song here, it's great. I love it. It's like it's one of those songs that it's like an earwig. I think that's what they call it. Like once it gets in your head, it's like hard to get out of it. But like I fell in love with that song, and so it's just great. It's like life gave me some lemons, but my Jesus, he be making lemonade. That's like the hook. That's the chorus or whatever. But so like listening to that, and then I, was listening to it in the kitchen while I was cooking, and I started to feel better, feeling that stirring and things like that. And just like singing and praising God and singing the words of worship and things like out to him. Because once I listened to that, then of course, like the Amazon or whatever, or Alexa, whatever I was, Pandora, whatever I was listening to it on, was like was started playing other songs. So it came into like this whole thing where I was now worshiping God and singing His word and all of that. And it's in that moment where He was like, "This is what I want. I want to do life with you, not just spend time with you. I don't want you to come in the closet and spend time with me. I want to be involved in every part of your day." And having that revelation was big for me because I had not even realized that that's what I was doing. I had not realized that instead of bringing God along and allowing Him to have access to every part of my life, that as the more and more overwhelmed I had gotten, I had started to compartmentalize Him, put Him in the closet, put Him at the desk, put Him at the church, maybe put Him on a run, but it's like I had gotten to the point where I was just so um taken away and like involved in everything that was going on and everything that had gotten on my plate that I had just kind of like put him to the side. And not like in a bad way, like I'm not going to obey you, I'm not going to be obedient. And I think that was kind of the hardest part of it, because I think it would be easier if I was out there wilding out, because it would be easier for me to notice, oh, I'm not, my relationship with God isn't there. If I'm doing things out of the ordinary, if I'm, being disobedient or doing all these other things, that to me is easier to tell, that, oh, okay, something isn't right. But I think the fact that I was still doing all the things, reading. I finished the book, studying the word, doing the podcast, going to church every Sunday, praying, because I was still doing all those things. I think it made it harder for me to recognize that I had not welcome. I had like kind of shut him out of different areas in my life. And I think that it's different if you've never had that, then it's not something you'll miss because you don't know to miss it. But once you get it, then I think it's definitely something that when it's gone, it's like one of those things like, man, like I gotta, like something is wrong. And I think that's what made the going through the motions and doing everything else made it harder to notice what it was that was missing. So, needless to say, I'm on a journey now to rectify that situation. And how I'm going about doing that is really simple. I'm just really trying to be more intentional with speaking to him throughout the day, not just first thing in the morning, not just right before I go to bed, but also when I am, walking in HEB, or I don't really walk in HEB, not often, because I always do my grocery shopping online. I'm lazy like that. I like click, click, click. Let me know when it's going to be ready. I come pick it up. So maybe Dollar Tree, when I'm walking in Dollar Tree, or if something or someone comes to my mind, instead of being like, oh, okay, I'm going to do that later, or I'm going to pray about that later, I'm going to reach out to them later. I'm like being more intentional in that moment. Okay, God, lifting them up in prayer and things like that. If I'm driving down the street and I'm in the car, I'm trying to speak to him. I'm getting back to my shower time conversations with him. I'm getting back to really also listening more so, because I hadn't really listened to anything. I would just go through like my kids would listen to their like Kids Bop or whatever, Bruno Mars or whatever station they listened to at the time. They all have different like desire ears, I guess, as far as like music is concerned. But now I'm trying to be more intentional. And so like when I'm in the car, I'm either talking to him or I'm listening to worship music. I'm doing more like reading, not just in the morning, not just when I'm studying for this, but also trying to gain like all the knowledge about his character and things like that. That when I first started following him, that I was just so gung ho about. I think that sometimes when we have been on a journey with God for a long time, it can be hard. It can be easy to think, oh, I know his character, I know who he is. And so we kind of just sit back and we just don't take it as serious. I think it's kind of like being in any kind of relationship. When you're in a relationship with someone, you have to pursue them. You have to get to know them. And my husband always says this. He always says that like people are constantly changing. And I know that for a fact that I'm not the same person I was when we got married. He is not the same person that he was when we got married. And so I am not the same person that I was when I first came to God. I'm not the same person that I was 2 years ago. I'm not the same person that I was 6 months ago. So as I grow and mature, as a follower of Christ, then my relationship with him needs to grow and mature. So I can't keep doing the same things that I did before in our relationship, thinking that it's going to be gravy, like it's all going to work out. And so I have to, but by the same token, I got to get back to what I used to do. So that it's like, I guess it's like six in one hand, half a dozen in the other, because it's like I can't expect the little bit of reading to like reading the verse of the day and then whatever thing that they have to go with that to be enough. I have to know that I need to really study the word and write down what he's placed in my heart, because he speaks to me through his word. But I also have to have that thirst and that hunger to be in communication with him at all times that I had in the beginning. Because when I have that, then I want to do the praise and worship music. I want to listen to podcasts about, about God and how he's moved in other people's lives. And I want to listen to sermons, and I want to like read the Bible and annotate it and just all those different things, because I have a desire to be close to him and to have a relationship with him. Not because I need to finish this research for this podcast, not because this is what I do every morning, and not because this is who, I need to pray for this person and that person, but just truly out of a desire to know him better and to be closer to him. And so, we talked a couple of weeks ago about, the like heaven and like eternity being the goal. And so when eternity is the goal, like my goal has to be to get there. And to get there, I have to know God, and I want to be in agreement with what he wants for my life. And I don't want to get lazy. And he's obviously not going to let me get lazy, because I really honestly felt it. I felt the lack. I felt the distance. And it's a lesson, because sometimes I think, at least I know I used to think this way. I used to think, once you come to God, you are going to be good. You never going to doubt. You're never going to have issues. You're never going to have troubles. Everything will be gravy. That's what I used to think. And as I've grown in my relationship with him, and as I've walked now years and years with him, I know now that's not the case. But even knowing that, okay, yeah, no, it's not the case that you're not going to ever have any problems. It's not the case that you're never going to struggle. But I think that I did look at people that I would see on TV or on YouTube or whatever the case may be, who are Christ followers, or even people who are at my church, and they are higher up, like a pastor or some worship leader or something like that, or other members on the prayer team and things like that. And you think that they have it all together. You're like, oh, one day I'm going to be like that. One day I'm going to have it all together, where I don't have the doubts. I don't have the fears. I don't have to this knee-jerk reaction. And then I have to get myself together and respond how he wants me to. I'll just respond how he wants me to right off the bat, because we think that that's how those people are. And so just knowing that nobody is perfect, I think is a relief. But I think that it's also hard when you're going through it, if you feel that way, if you feel like, okay, these people who are higher up, who are on a higher pedestal, who are more forward focused in their pursuit of God and in their ministry, like those people have it all together. They don't deal with the doubt and the fears that I deal with, but that's not the case. Everybody has doubts, fears, things that are eating away at them and getting at them that they need to be trusting and believing God for. And sometimes it's just like something small, and sometimes it's something big. And sometimes it's where in the point where if we are going through something and, you know, our response is humanistic, right? Our reaction is humanistic. But then I think I heard something recently. It was like, your reaction doesn't matter, your response matters. So if I react like in my human form with fear or doubt or disdain or whatever whatever the reaction is, whatever the response, yeah, reaction is, that's one thing, because a reaction is kind of like involuntary. It's what happens. A chemical reaction is what happens when you put vinegar and baking soda together. No matter what you do, there is going to be some kind of chemical reaction. The thing is, though, how I respond after that reaction is what counts. So, no, I may not react knee jerk in the way that I feel like somebody else who is, you know, in ministry would, or somebody who has a forward or a bigger focused ministry or whatever. I might not be able to, or I might not react the way that I think that they would, but my response is what matters. So if I react with fear, but then I counteract that and say, but God, I trust you. God, I believe in you. God, I know that you got this under control. And my response after that reaction is to trust and believe in him and to do his will. Then that's good. That's all he desires for me. And so I just think that sometimes when we see people who are in positions, in bigger positions, and who are, you know, popular and have their ministries, you know, have a lot of followers or whatever the case may be, and speak and preach and sing, when we see them, we kind of think that they are not human in the realm. Like, we think that they don't respond the way that we respond. They don't feel the way we feel. But that's not the case. They do. Everybody does. And even if they don't now, they did before. You know, God is working on each and every one of us. And I've used the analogy of him working on us as a house before on the podcast, where like, we're all houses in varying degrees of completion. Some are at foundation. Some are, have what do you call it? Framed up. Some have drywall, some are almost done, but we're all works in progress, and God is the carpenter. And so if we put it in his hands, it doesn't matter what's going on. He's going to create in us, and he's going to build us into who he desires for us to be. So I want to make sure that we accept where we are in the building process, but not stay in that building process. Allow God to keep working on us and keep adding to us until we get to where he wants us to be. Because sometimes a lot of times when we go through things and when times are tough, we get into this part of life where, and I've been there, I'm like, this is what I'm coming out of. And this is a revelation that God gave me also, where we're so busy looking forward to getting out of what we're in that we're not seeing what we're in. It's like during this time right now, it could be so easy to be like, oh, because it's been tough. Like, we were just grateful, like, we could buy school supplies and school clothes and stuff for the kids. We were so thankful for that. We were thankful for the people who blessed us to, in doing that as well. And so with that aspect, we were grateful. But I know, I'm not gonna speak for my husband, at least for me, I was just like, had gotten to the point where I was just so ready to be out of the struggle. Like, I'm just looking forward to being done. I'm looking forward to when he's going to bless us, how he's going to bless us. I'm just ready to be blessed, no matter, like, however that looks, whatever he chooses to do. But the issue with that is it was making me not appreciate the time that we're in. And so what God kind of placed on my heart and what he gave me was that every day that I'm just trying to make it through, that I'm praying through it to get to the blessing, I'm missing important days and important times with my children. And so instead of being able to be present in the moment, in the lack and in the struggle, yes, But in the moment of my family, with my husband, with my children, with my family members, whatever that looks like, if I am able to be present in those moments, then it's going to be beneficial because it's going to take however long it takes. But I can't get back the time. So if I waste all this time that I am hoping and praying that God, for God to bless us, if I waste that just doing that, if I don't minister to where He has me right now, which is with my family, then it'll when I come out of it, I will have missed way more than I ever imagined. I have to enjoy the times putting my kids to bed. I have to enjoy the long walks and the talks and the late night conversations with my husband and celebrating people, even if I can't celebrate them the way I want to. I have to be able to enjoy those moments because when He gets me through this, it's going to be a blessing, but I cannot get back all of this time that we've been going through this. So if I'm not relishing this time, then it's going to be a disservice to me. And also, I think sometimes when we feel like God is placing ministry or placing His work on our heart, we can see that as looking like um, somebody who preaches on a Sunday morning, or a speaker who gets up in front of crowds, or somebody who does these amazing things and have all these followers and all of this, but He may just be calling you just to your circle. And so I think that's what it is for me. Like, I feel like He has placed a ministry on my heart. I pray that He has placed a calling over my life. But I think my calling is my family, my kids, my husband, my friends, my close knit people who are in my sphere of influence right now. He wants me to bless them and encourage them and pray for them and be there for them and be His hands and feet for their lives. And it doesn't matter about everybody else, about all the other people on all the other platforms. All it matters for where He's planted me. He wants me to grow where He's planted me. And sometimes when God has planted us somewhere and it's not where, and we think that we are meant for more or destined for more, that can also cause us to have that disconnection and to compartmentalize Him. And it can cause us to lose, to have a lack of spiritual passion. And I think that's kind of what it is. And so when we have that lack of spiritual passion, when we have that disconnect, when we compartmentalize Him, the devil tries to come in and use those spaces where we're like taking Him out of, or where He is not present, where we're trying to put Him in a box and keep Him in the box and go on with our lives. All those other parts that we're not allowing God into, the devil is infiltrating. Because that's the difference between the God and devil. God wants to be invited in, and He wants you to allow Him to come in and to work in and through you and live and do life with you. But the devil just gonna bogart and break down the door. So we have to remember to be very intentional in our walk with God, and just to always remember where He is, because we all have issues. We all go through struggles. We all go through tough times. But when we go through those tough times and those issues and those struggles, one, we have to remember not to just be so quick to get out of it, because a lot of times God is using it as a lesson. He wants to teach us something through it. And when He wants to teach us through it, we have to get that lesson. And it's going to take however long it takes. And so if we try to rush through it, we don't get the lesson, and it can make it prolonged. So until we get the lesson, we ain't getting out of it. So while we're learning the lesson, we should also be experiencing the things that we cannot get back during that time. So no, I can't go on vacation, but I can take a walk with my kids. No, I can't, pay for this elaborate thing, but I can go to my neighbor's house and have coffee. It's the little things in life that we can really appreciate and not take for granted, and also bring Him with us. Don't just leave Him in those areas where you think like, okay, I'm doing ministry, so when I'm preparing, I'm gonna have Him in here, or I'm praying for other people and I'm doing this. But let Him be a part of your everyday, all day life. Open yourself up and allow Him to really come in and dwell with you day to day, every day. And when you get down and when you make mistakes and when life happens and when sin intervenes, don't let that be the end of the world, because he's waiting for you with open arms to come back to him. So come back to him. You're not the first. You're not going to be the last. It doesn't matter how you react. It matters how you respond. So after that knee-jerk reaction, then you have to get it together and go back to him. So I hope this was a blessing to you. I did not have a script. I just kind of rambled on. So hopefully it wasn't too much rambling. But I thank you so much for joining me this Sunday. And I may see you next Sunday if he gives me something on Sunday Showers from the Source. Thank you so much. Bye.